Okay, it's preparing, so you can go ahead and end the practice session.
Okay. Bill, are you ready?
Yes.
Let's get started.
All right. Welcome to the February 2023 meeting of the Clifton Town Council, being held by Zoom per the information on the agenda that we sent out for distribution. We've got a number of items on the agenda this evening, so we'll get right into it, starting with the town clerk's report.
The draft minutes were circulated and I received some minor clarifying revisions from the mayor.
Anything else?
That's it.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the town council meeting minutes for the January meeting as drafted with the clarifying comments.
Second.
Okay, motion a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay.
Just a quick update on golf carts. I ended up sending out 4 letters to households who had not yet submitted their registrations, letting them know that they were no longer allowed to operate their golf carts on the streets in town. And since that time, I've gotten 1 more registration. So at this point, just 3 households that haven't renewed.
What's the
Okay.
total, Amanda?
I'm sorry?
How many total of these things are there?
Around 13.
So of the 13, 10 have registered and 3 still have yet to respond.
Right.
Okay. All right. And you've told them because they haven't registered, they're no longer registered and it's no longer legal for them to drive them on the streets.
Right.
All right. Very good. Anything else?
That's it for the clerk's report.
Okay. Let's move to the treasurer's report.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Sorry I can't be on video tonight. I will send out financials for January this week for everybody to note on so we can post it. The top topic for this evening, which Bill circulated to the council, is the recommendation from United Bank on where to place our money while it's sitting in the accounts. Hopefully everybody had a chance to review the email. He has suggested to divide up what is currently sitting in our money market account, leaving everything that we still have in checking in the checking. I'd like the open discussion here. I think it's fine what he's suggested, but I think we do not need the 229K in our checking. We operate with about 10K plus and minus. We net 0 a month. So I would feel comfortable going down to 100K in our checking. So even more into either super money market, which is liquid, or the CDs that are not so liquid, but it's only 9 to 13 months.
All right. So the short version here is our bank manager at United Bank
Right.
approached us and said, I was looking over this, you might be able to do some better things. We have CDs at 3.5 for 9 months and 4 for 13 months, 4%, 3.5%, which is a lot higher than 0. You ought to take advantage of those. I recognize you probably need some liquid funds. You can keep that. We have a super money market account that's 1.15. That's a lot lower than 4, but there it is. The 9-month is a no penalty, I guess. So that's nice. And he says you ought to put your money in CDs in this money market, and then you could have some in checking, which is basically 0% return. So that's what he proposed. What are people's thoughts?
Can you get us the 3% on the money market account or no? The super money market?
I
Saw
don't
that.
believe so. It's a very liquid account. Basically, we could pull from super money market anytime. So the percentages stay pretty low.
Yeah, I saw the note at the bottom referring to new funds getting that 3% rate. I didn't know if he could help us out and if we, leave them in whatever that 250 in the super money, put the rest in CDs and checking. I don't know.
Yeah, I texted with him. It was new business. So if anybody has anybody opening business and deposits, he missed me by about 6 months. But yeah, I think just again, my 2 cents. I don't think we need to mess with the 9-month. I think if anything, that 250 that he's suggesting the 9-month, just put it all in the 13-month. And then we can put about 200K into the super money market. And it really comes down to the town council's movement on streetscape in the next 13 months, because that is the only thing that liquid cash would need to be needed for. Other than that, our operating costs are so low, we don't need this kind of money liquid.
What's our monthly burn rate?
It's about 10 grand out, but we collect about 10 grand in, so we burn
Okay.
zero.
All right, so one question here is if we had $200,000 in super money market, do people think that would be sufficient for the next 13 months for our needs? Does anyone think it would be insufficient for our liquid money needs?
I don't think we know because of the streetscape thing.
Yeah, we don't know when we'll have to come out of pocket for that, I guess.
Yes,
Is there a penalty for withdrawing early?
From the I think the 13-month CD, there would be a penalty.
I can talk with Will about the penalty. I think it's a really good question. I think it would, if the penalty is low enough, it might be worth investing in it because there's a possibility of making, it says 20 grand here, but we'd probably be around the 35, 40 if we don't touch it. Which if the penalty is under that, then we'll be fine.
Right, we'd overperform the penalty, in other words, if in
Yes.
the event that we needed to.
Yes.
all right.
If that's the case, then I have no problem with it at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And Nick, do you have a good idea of the cash that we'll have to pull out for Streetscape?
It's been a little bit up in the air. The most I've seen that would come out of our pocket at any time before a refund is 250 or under. So we would still be having a liquid asset of 200 in super money market and then about 100 and so in checking. I don't see there being a requirement for us to have more than 350 grand on hand. But I think it's worth, looking at the doomsday and the reward over penalty just to make sure.
Another related question. If we had, I don't know what the number is, 800 in these CDs, wouldn't you break it up into like 100K chunks?
We can do that. We used to have 4 CDs. We can break it up however is needed. I can talk with Will what he suggests.
So the point is, if we have 200 in cash and you think we might need 250, we might need to bust one of them, but we wouldn't have to bust all of them.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a good idea. Yep.
All right, I'll make a motion to put all of our funds into the 13-month 4% CD other than $200,000 to go in super money market, and you think 10,000 in checking, Nick, or do you think 20?
These numbers actually don't include 229K already in checking. So going 200 in super money market,
Yes.
we can leave 29,000 in checking. And then it would be 888K going into the 13-month CDs, and which I will split up in multiple CDs.
Why don't you make it 900 and adjust the other accordingly?
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, round numbers.
Round numbers are good.
And that's subject to you confirming you can break the CDs up into bite-sized chunks. So if we have to break them, first of all, you can break it, and we would only have to break one.
We'll do.
I'll second that.
Motion a second. Any further discussion? I think we can do this by a voice vote because we're not spending any money, we're only making money, making more money. All in favor, say aye.
I
Opposed, abstentions. All right, I remember years ago, we had CDs that were like 3 years and they were 4%, and people were amazed that we could have this 4% because for years, it was basically zero. And 4% sounded like, oh, come on, it was never that high or whatever. So, here we are again. And maybe if we're lucky, inflation will keep going up and it'll get even higher at the end of 13 months or not, in which case, either way, it's probably okay. Okay, good. Next. What else? There's a bunch of stuff under you here. Nick.
Yep. Hold on. Just pulling up the agenda. All right, I don't have the agenda in front of me right now. If V-polls are on there, I did send out the V-poll applications to our mailing list, both the last year and this year's list with duplicates omitted, of course. The due date is 3/1, but I plan on working with each business to make sure we can get, around the 3/1 due date. We also be running the AR in QuickBooks this year rather than a separate spreadsheet. So we'll actually know what we're expecting to come in. Now that's an estimate. I'm planning on just putting AR as in these are people that we know will need to pay. And then we'll be able to do, like you just asked about the carts, who will owe us come 3/1. I still don't have the agenda in front of me if there's another item to go through.
All right, so request to post updated 2023 B-poll form on town website. Do you have an updated form?
Yep, I sent the form and Amanda was CC'd. It was only about an hour ago. Amanda, if you want me to post it, you just got to show me how to online. Otherwise, if you could help me out, that'd be great.
Okay. And send out 2023 B-poll notices. Hey, everybody, you're supposed to pay. You saying you did that?
Yep, it was sent out about an hour ago.
Okay. It's also asked about every year we had this ongoing thing with an audit of the town.
Yes. The audit. Interesting thing. So local town councils are accountants that told me that got an extension for multiple years because of COVID. I'm not really a fan of that. I want to get it done, signed, sealed, delivered, and get the next year on the route. I tried to get it moving during the summer, and they told me they're still trying to close the year before 2021. So I'll keep knocking on the door. But we've used the same accountants, it looks like, for year after year, and they don't seem to have much motivation. But it's one of those things that should I push or should I not? It's not necessarily a problem we have, but I don't like things open-ended like this for a word with audit involved. I don't expect to have any problems, but I think what I'll do is I'll push them one more time this week, Bill, and I'll CC you and you can see their response. Because I haven't even sent them the previous fiscal year's numbers yet.
Based on the pandemic and all that stuff, if they wanted to do an audit that covered multiple years, because they've fallen behind, and say, why don't we just do everything at once instead of spending the next 9 months doing an audit for 3 years ago and we'll be behind forever? I would certainly entertain that.
Okay.
I think what's happened in the past is we said, why don't you guys do a couple years at once? And they said, oh, if we did 2 years at once, it would cost 5 times as much, which never really sounded believable to me. We're just like, whatever. Okay, but here they've kind of, their circumstances have pushed things to where we are now, where they might actually be interested in doing a multi-year audit, which I'd be fine with. We're not technically required to do an audit at all. We do it just to please everybody that, everything is on the up and up. So we certainly like it to be done, but it's more being done as a prudential matter of discretion. So talk to them about what they think makes sense.
Yep.
Okay?
I think it's a good note. Also, the leverage of they're the ones that extended it.
Yeah,
It's not our doing. So I'll see what I can group together to get us caught up. I want a phone call with them. They've been dodging the phone. It's only email talking, but they're getting into busy season. Maybe I can sneak a call in.
and I don't mind if they're busy and they fell behind and they want to help by giving us a break.
Yep.
And doing several years at once to get caught up. That's fine. It's
Okay.
not that complicated. And the reason we've used the same people year in and year out is they know the stuff backwards and forwards. It's just pretty easy to do for them. Nobody
Agreed.
has to reinvent the wheel, so that might work for them. Okay.
All right.
Final thing, there was a treasurer's report last month. Is that correct? Like actual numbers? Did you give
Yes,
us
it was
some?
sent on the 17th. It was through 17th of January. It was through December 31st.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And I'll have through January 31st out to you this week.
So mid-January, you sent us something that covers up through the end of December. Yes?
Yeah, correct.
All right, Amanda's saying we should approve that at some point. What are people's thoughts? I'm fine with approving it. The question is, should we approve it? Should we all get it and look at it and then vote on approving it, or should we approve what we think we saw?
Why don't we put it on the agenda for next month and approve it next month?
I do ask
Okay.
everybody to read the notes because the budget versus actual, there's 3 exceptions to how we budgeted things versus how we ran the year. Homes tour, Haunted Trail being the 2 large ones that we decided not to budget for and said, if it happens, it happens, but we're going to budget as if it won't. Obviously, both of those events were very successful, so it's a positive change to the budget. To the actuals. And then finally, we were conservative on our COVID relief. We only had a document in hand at the time of budget for X amount, and we ended up receiving the other end of the spectrum amount from the state. So all of it's good things, but those are in the notes and the financials. And next meeting, we'll have those and the next ones we can vote in. Does that work?
Yes, I want you to do it separately. I want
Okay.
you to send out in advance saying, here's the one through the end of December, through the end of calendar 2022. That's December 31, 2022. Here it is. And then another one that's for January. Then everybody can look at that and we can vote, on both of those. But I like one that's the year-end one.
Okay.
So we know where we stand as of that, which is covering, I guess, 6 months. Are we still fiscal July?
Fiscals. Well, June 30th. Yep.
Yeah, June 30th. Okay, so let's do that. Please send it out in advance, like
Okay.
3-4 days, whatever. Not weeks and not hours, but close enough that people will connect it with the meeting far enough that they'll have enough time, like end of the week before, so you can look at it over the weekend. Okay.
Got it.
All right. I think that's it, Treasurer. Okay.
Thank you.
On to citizens' remarks. I understand Mike Davis wants to say something about the CBA's annual birthday celebration. Phyllis, is that correct? Is Mike Davis out there?
Yeah, I promoted Mike to panelist.
Okay, very good.
It takes a little while to, I guess, change the Zoom, but yes. So the CBA is doing the Clifton birthday celebration again this year. It is scheduled for April 29th. Is that right? I sent it to Amanda, but I have to read it myself. Yeah, so April 29th from 4 to 9 p.m. at the CBA barn is for CBA members and invited guests. Last year we had a couple people crash, which is not an open party, just to let you guys know. But we are extending an invite to all Clifton residents, even if they're not a CBA member. But I'm assuming pretty much everybody is a CBA member in town, but I'm not sure. So that's it. And I would like to invite the mayor if you would like to speak at the event. We do have a lot of time for that. If you would want to, if you don't, there's no speeches this year per overwhelming request.
That's too bad. I always like to have those. Sure. I mean, I'll be there. Mike, I would appreciate it if you would send an email a week ahead
Okay.
to the council members saying, hey, just want to remind everybody, and you can send it to the treasurer and the clerk and all that too.
Right.
If
At least the
hypothetically somebody in the meeting wasn't a member of the CBA, how would they go about learning how to become a member?
So you go onto the CBA's website. You can just search for Clifton Betterment Association, and there's a join page. You just join. I think it's something like $35 or $40, $45 every 2 years, I think.
Every 2
Okay.
years. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
And
tough.
then,
That's a bargain at twice the price, Mike.
exactly. It's very nice. And the
Okay.
CBA, I don't know if everybody knows, the CBA throws 4th of July picnic. Now we're doing the annual. We're getting back into the annual birthday celebration. We do the 5K boost run, and we do Clifton Day, of course. So there are big events, and we actually have a ping pong tournament
Yeah,
this
coming up.
weekend at the town hall.
Okay, so if you could send an email out a week in advance to the council members, wanted to remind everybody, please show up, because
Okay.
undoubtedly, things come and go and you forget, but I'd like everybody to get it on their calendar and show up.
And what's the
Okay.
date again?
April 29th from 4 to 9. I'm having all my volunteers show up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon to get set up. It's going to be the same venue as last year. We're going to try to do cookout and stuff like that.
All right.
Thank you.
CBA, thank you. CBA, April 29, 4 to 9 p.m. Town birthday. It occurred to me that, what was it, 1902? 1868 to 2018. Yeah, Clifton, the founding of Clifton 150th anniversary came and went in 2018. And we celebrated it by being, super low key, because that's what we're all about, and making it appear as if we weren't acknowledging it at all. Kind of funny how that happened, but we have lots of other days, so we ought to make a point of this. And as the community's building back with things like the haunted trail and the way that went, and here that we're there, that we show up and represent the town as well. Okay, that's citizens' remarks. We're on to committees. And that starts with the planning commission.
Planning Commission had 2 applications this last meeting. The first one, we had reviewed the preliminary use permit that included a approved plan of development to Amy Loyster for building a riding rink at 12800 Chapel Street. And that was initially issued February 1, 2022. Apparently in the interim, Fairfax County had made changes to that plan of development in the course of their review with respect to the rough grading plan and other items included in the land disturbance permit that the county issued on December 13, 2022. Since the applicant, as part of the preliminary use permit, was required to provide the town an updated plan of development if any changes occurred, and the applicant's engineer noted these changes on the plan of development, And these changes were also reviewed, and an itemized list of the changes was prepared by the town engineer in his letter of January 30th. The type of changes are not significant, but they do involve a change in some of the issues. A change in the floodplain mapping, for example, an additional map was attached to the plan of development. A change in some of the stormwater calculations. Nothing so significant that it would raise any sort of issues with respect to the town's own ordinances, but they are changes. And since the construction has to be done in accordance with an approved plan of development, and we have a changed plan of development, hence the review by the Planning Commission and ultimately by the Town Council. Having looked at all these things, the Planning Commission recommends that the revisions made by the county to the previously approved plan of development be approved, and that this previously approved plan of development dated February 1, 2022 be so modified.
There we go. All right. That was a lot. I would summarize it as follows. The town approved Amy Leicester's riding ring application a long time ago. It went to the county and sat around for a long time at the county. The county made Amy make some changes. Okay. It came back to us and we said, let's look at those changes to make sure they don't change anything material to what we approved. Answer, it didn't change anything material to what we approved. However, since that is the current design, we want to make sure that that's in fact what we're approving. So what she goes to build is what the county's approved and what the town's approved, and they match. So the end is nothing material happened, but we want to make sure that we're approving the actual final thing. Okay. So that's it. Everybody, straightforward, blocking and tackling, dot I's, cross T's, make sure everything's right. Based on that, I will make a motion to approve the recommendation of the Planning Commission to approve the approval of this modified plan of development. So the revisions that the county made will be approved, and the previously approved plan of development that we have will be so modified to match what the county has. Okay. So that's
Second.
Any further discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, abstentions. All right, so that should be it, and everything should be done on this, right? Kathy?
Correct, right.
All right. Next.
Until the final use permit is
Yeah,
issued,
and
once
then,
construction's concluded. But as
Right.
far as it beginning, the preliminary plan has been reviewed by the town and obviously reviewed by the county and now approved.
ready to construct, and as you point out, after construction, people are supposed to confirm what was done is what was approved, and then you get a final use permit. Got it. All right,
Correct.
what else?
The next item was an application by Robin Moser of Virginia Mercantile at 12644 Clifton Road to be the organizer for a proposed farmers market to be located there. This just is a little background. This application initially started, Amanda maybe can be more precise, but probably at least 6 months ago. And there were a number of questions raised about the size, the timing, whether or not there would be an issue with the other businesses located there at this particular time or not. So in having reviewed everything, Amanda had sent out a letter to everybody at Clifton House asking about their use of the premises Sunday mornings, and got back responses from, I think, 5 tenants who responded, who all noted that little to no business was conducted by them on Sundays at the office, And also, Robin Moser obtained the sign off of the owner of the building as well. So having reviewed this, the Planning Commission is recommending that a farmer's market be authorized on Sundays from April through November from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. with a maximum of 7 vendors. The vendors are all to be located in the courtyard area. The Planning Commission further recommends that a conditional use permit be approved just for 2023 to see how this event will in fact play out with parking, congestion, any other issues. Other conditions would be no music, no amplified sound, noise being kept to a minimum. And of course, this maximum of 7 vendors, all will have the stands in the courtyard area of the premises, not on the parking lot. So the net result is if the market wishes to continue in 2024, they will have to return for another use permit, and that will give us a chance to get feedback again from whoever wants to give feedback about whether having this event from April to November is going to cause a crowd issue, a parking issue, a noise issue, or any other issue. Hence the recommendation for a conditional use permit for the remainder of 2023, April through November.
Is it every Sunday or one Sunday a month?
The plan by Ms. Moser was going to be 1 or 2 Sundays a month. So when we discussed it, rather than having her come back, we said, fine, just it could be every Sunday, but the hours needed to be limited. The number of vendors needed to be limited.
Okay.
But it's unlikely it will start out every Sunday. It's a new event, and the initial statement was it's likely to be 1 Sunday a month.
Unless it takes off like gangbusters.
Yeah, who knows? Hence the idea for conditional use permits. So
Yeah.
Gives us a chance to look and to evaluate, given the fact there's been a lot of support for a farmer's market, and it's probably been maybe 10 years more since we had, since Deb Dillard organized the last farmer's market at that location, which
Yeah.
at the time certainly didn't cause any issues and was reasonably successful. It just, I think, only maybe lasted 2 years.
All right.
Robin is an attendee. Do you guys have any questions for her?
I don't. I'm comfortable approving it as presented, but I'll make a motion to approve the Planning Commission's recommendation as presented.
Second,
Okay. It's motion a second to approve the conditional use permit, which is just for 2023. We would collect information and then we can assess what to do in 2024 if they so wish to continue. Yeah. All right. Motion is second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? All right.
No
That's
offense, Robin. I was happy to hear from you, but we keep it moving.
That's it for the applications. There was another item discussed at the meeting, since I had received some complaints about parking issues at Clifton House. And Amanda, as town clerk, had also received some complaints and issues. And there was a discussion about the existing use permit of Sun Design, and whether or not they were doing special events on certain days, whether this needed to be encompassed in their use permit or not. And then, of course, parking on the property, bearing in mind that the use permit is for an office use permit, allocating 5 spots based on square footage. But that was handed over to Amanda in her role as zoning administrator. She can pick it up from there, since she's had more contact with some of the people who have raised issues than I have.
Okay, so we'll switch to zoning administrator. Okay,
Okay, as Kathy has said, we collectively have received a significant number of complaints with regard to some recent parking situations at the Clifton House parking lot, 12644 Chapel Road, and surrounding lots as well. As a result, I have done some investigation and I have identified three issues of concern. Number one, Sun Design appears to be regularly conducting business in the town hall. That is not permitted in their current use permit, and it is not permissible in the lease that the town has with the county for the town hall. Number two, Sun Design seems to be exceeding their parking allocation on the premises of the Clifton House, which is currently 5 parking spaces. That's based on the square footage for their suite for an office use. But we are regularly seeing 6 or more commercial work trucks parked on site at the premises. And that is not counting any personal vehicles for the employees and for any of their associates or clients. So that is a problem. It also suggests that perhaps they should have more of a retail services use rather than the less intensive office use. The third issue that I've identified is that their use permit specifically is not particularly current based on some of the facts that we've discovered. Number one would be that they have 4 names registered with the Virginia State Corporation Committee, 1 legal name and 3 fictitious names, and they all have 12644 Chapel Road listed as their principal office. Unfortunately, their use permit application and their resulting use permit lists only one of those names, and it's a fictitious name. And typically, the town requires that all names be listed on a use permit, whether there are multiple companies or whether it's one company with multiple names. And it's so that we can all be aware of exactly what businesses are practicing in town, what are the services that they're offering, and also for B-poll assessments. So the use permit should be updated in that way. Additionally, if Sun Design wants to continue to have special events akin to what they've been having at the town hall, what the town has done with other businesses in town is during the use permit process, allow them to have a certain number of special events listed on their use permit. It's usually 4 events per year maximum at their location, certainly not at the town hall, and not any other location outside of their business location. Just for an example, the Main Street Pub and Villaggio's have in their use permits the ability to have special events up to 4 per year. Based on our investigation and the facts that we have discovered, and based on consulting with Kathy, the chair of the Planning Commission, I have the following recommendations. Number one, that the town council consider prohibiting any further commercial use at the town hall, not just for Sun Design, but for all commercial entities. Number two, give Sun Design 30 days to submit a new use permit application that addresses the issues that I've just outlined. And if they do not do that, then consider issuing a notice of violation.
I have a
Right.
question about the events at the town hall. What are we considering a like commercial activity? Because my understanding is they're not transacting business at the town hall.
They're a commercial business and they are using the space for the purposes of their business. It doesn't have to be like money changing hands in the town hall.
Well, my understanding is the prohibition that's in our lease is about commercial activity. That's, and my understanding was that was commerce, as in like, we can't set it up for a business, a retail shop or a restaurant to operate inside the town hall. But maybe I'm interpreting it incorrectly. I'm not a lawyer, so.
Well, the question would be, what are they doing? So we have nonprofits using the building for whatever. That's easy. We have
HOAs hold their meetings.
and we have people having weddings, or so we used to. I don't know. The CBA has holiday parties.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Weddings, birthday parties, but also group meetings, nonprofit meetings, as you
Yeah.
noted, business
Yeah.
meetings.
Then we get into things where for-profit businesses are having meetings. Okay, and that's something we have to look into, the specific facts and circumstances. You know, what are these meetings?
Sure.
And so like one of them was the woman doing SAT training for kids in Clifton. Okay.
Yeah, the tutor.
Yeah, so we've looked at that as not as it is educational, as educational and community,
Right.
So where we have things that are educational and community, then even
Irish
though
dancers,
yeah, exactly, Irish dancers as well. But let's say, I don't know, Best Buy wanted to hold their monthly sales meetings where they pump up their Geek Squad people to sell more software, whatever, to people, and they give them like pep talks and all that. I'd look at that as Best Buy doing business stuff. And since it's cheap, they use our hall to do it, which could be okay, except I think our lease from the county says you can't do that. So the question then is, what specifically are they doing? So if the Sun Design people were having a meeting where they were teaching people about owls of Clifton, that could be really cool. If they're training Sun Design people on how to sell products, it would be not cool at all.
What if they're training Sun Design people on how to build something or construction safety? Just as examples.
Yeah, no, like if they're training them on owls, pretty good. If they're training them on health, we might go, well, we like that. Okay, so you've got both teaching and community.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't sound community, but there's probably some nexus to Clifton because some of whatever they do is probably in Clifton. And sort of training, I don't know, but it's definitely something that's worth looking at. Now, that's just what they're doing. Now, let's say that we're doing that and there were 3 people there. They all parked in front. That's cool. Alternative 2, there's 100 people there and it's very efficient. And they're parking at Jim Fullerton's and their own lot and the town hall and Lord knows where. You know, that's another thing as well. So you have all these factors involved. And there's certain things that would be forbidden, as you said. They're running a business. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and look at the art guild, right? They had the people in there and they're selling crochet and stuff, but they're local artisans creating stuff for the local community. That's great. We encourage that. So it's very much a fact specific thing. Is that your understanding, that they're training on use of equipment?
The application just says business meeting. I don't know what's being, I didn't, I didn't get more specifics. I'll be more specific for future applications for sure. And I think it's probably pertinent to revise the questionnaire that we have people fill out and
business meetings almost per se a non-starter absent more. But Steve, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think it's as complicated as we're making it. If a commercial business is using our facilities for a restricted commercial purpose, that is training their own people, that's a commercial purpose, and I don't think we can do it based on our current lease. It's not that complicated. If what they were doing was having an open meeting to teach people how to build something and it was open to the public, that could be more complicated. But if they're having a business meeting for their own people, they're using our facility as for their business purpose, and I don't think we can do it.
And Steve, to your point, you're not saying that's a bad thing or a bad
No.
idea, whatever. You're just saying we're not allowed to do
We
it.
don't have, under the
Um,
current lease, that is a commercial purpose being used by a commercial entity. And we don't have the right to lease, sublease county space for that purpose.
Matt Brooks is one of our attendees, and he can tell you what they're doing if you're interested. Would you like me to promote him?
Sure.
Sure.
Hey, Matt, it's Phyllis. I promoted you so you can speak.
You'll have to come off mute.
You're on mute.
There
All
you
right,
go.
can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yeah, this has turned into a huge issue since they've come in. I mean, they have those meetings. The last one they told us about, before that, they didn't tell us about at all, and they take over the entire parking lot. Entire. I go to work, I can't even park. They have every spot taken out for their company-wide meetings. So, I mean, they really are not a good fit for our town, I have to say.
Okay. Anything on the subject matter of the meetings? It's for their company, or do you?
Yeah, as far as I know, it's just their intra-company meetings. They're not bringing in outside people, but they have X number of meetings in that town hall with their own company.
Yeah.
And they've
Okay.
also been trying to push all the other tenants out. I mean, they haven't done me yet, because if they do, then I'm going to shut their water system down. But it's like, I know the people next door, the yoga studio, they're trying to raise their rent like 50%. I mean, they want the building, period.
Okay, one step at a time. Thank you.
Well, Bill, it's important that we
Yep.
expand. It's important that we expand this and discuss this with them, because if what Matt is saying is correct and they're trying to take the building, part of the reason they like the building is they have a meeting space next door and a parking lot, and neither of those is true.
True,
So
exactly.
They need to know that. They need
Yeah.
to know that early rather than late.
We need to come down on them on the number of parking spaces are allowed, period. I would go that route. You know, maybe they
Well,
rent the hall, that's fine, but,
No, they can't rent the hall. It's a perfect
well, that's up to you guys,
indication
but yeah.
of
Yeah.
why you don't want that to happen.
Right, I agree.
Well,
Okay.
I'll own the fact that I had a misunderstanding of the types of events that were prohibited and did not realize that this fell into that category. So I can reach out to my contacts that have been in touch with me to make the rentals. Fortunately, I'm holding the checks for Nick to deposit, so we can easily refund them for any pending rentals.
Okay. All right, well, let's go one step at a time.
Yeah.
Is it the council's sense that we cannot rent for this purpose, and therefore we should stop further rentals for these business meetings?
Well, there's a limit. They have a number of parking spaces, and that's fine. But I would just say to them, that's all you can have, and then find other ways to bring people in. You know, we don't want to suddenly say, oh, no, you can't have people here. You know, we want to keep in our limits, right?
Well, this first question's about
The use of the town hall.
our literal authority to rent the town hall, which we do not own.
I have no idea about how you guys do that. I'm just talking about how all of a sudden the lot's filled up.
Yep, no, that's part two.
We
one is-
appreciate the insight, Mr.
Yeah,
Brooks.
part one
Thank
is
you.
no, whatever has happened has happened. It led to fact finding. It led to this discussion. It led to further understanding of Daryl's and Steve providing an excellent summary, which is, if a commercial business is having inside company meetings for company people, that is something that we can't do. Okay, whether we think it's a good idea or not is irrelevant.
Right.
Authority to do so.
I do have one. I'm sorry. I have one more person, Bob Gallagher, who has raised his hand to speak. I'm going to promote him, and I guess Matt, I'm going to put you back down as an attendee.
Okay, absolutely.
Thanks for your comments, Matt. Thank you.
Reagan, I assume you had something to add, but do you want to wait, or?
I just was letting you know that I've got the lease open. If we need to look at that paragraph, we can do that.
Oh, okay. Okay.
No, you're not. No.
Bob, you have been promoted. If you would like to speak, please do. Take yourself off mute.
I think I'm off mute.
Oh, okay, excellent.
I hear you.
Well, I guess
I can see you.
Good. Thank you. Thank you everyone for this. It's been enlightening for sure. So I'm the president of Sun Design. I'm also one of the owners of Clifton House. I'm a leaseholder of Matt's lease. What I was going to address, I feel like isn't even what I was going to address now. I'm not going to address that. I mean, if there was a confusion about the use of the town hall, then it's just a confusion. We were just told we could use it, and we were using it for company meetings.
Yeah,
We thought it was. It's okay. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
We thought it was something that we could do, and we were excited about it. We grew up in the area. We're from the area of Clifton, and we just liked the reality that we were in the town for work during the day, and we thought it would be fun to bring our people to the town. And not feeling it though. I got to tell you, I'm not feeling it. It's very frustrating. Yes, we do have 4 commercial vehicles there. They get taken and they get replaced with someone who's taking them vehicle. We have probably 5 other people who are permanently in the office and some people that come and go because all of our work sites are remote, right? And most people don't work in the office anymore. They work from home. So, and Amanda, I am very interested to hear what all of our, I mean, Craig DeRosco, my business partner, when he was 18, named the company Sun Design Remodeling Specialist, Inc. Not probably the best name, so we probably have a number of different names in there. Sun Design Remodeling, Sun Design, I mean, all that. Quinta Properties is the partnership that Craig and I have for the ownership of the building. It is ironic. And I would, because I feel like you guys need to know this point also. Our intention is to be a part of the community. I have to tell you, the community hasn't really made it comfortable or no major feelings of love. And that's neither here nor there, I guess, really. But I will tell you, the intention was for the coming in, we did probably not think through how we were working with the tenants in the building the first time that we used the space in the town hall. We communicated with them the next time so we wouldn't have any issues. And 3 people parked next door in the wrong parking lot. And I'm thinking that's probably the major source of your complaints. Now I guess I was hoping that it wasn't people from the building, but it probably was them too. You won't see them there again. You will also not see us going anywhere. I would be happy to do a different use permit if that's what's necessary. I would be happy to not lease the town hall if that's the way it is. And Amanda, I'm telling you, all this research and all this discussion, I'm the company president and the owner of the building, and I've not been contacted. And here I am sitting through all of this discussion. And I want you to know something also about the building. You know, Craig DeRosco, and I will say myself too, are heartfelt, loving individuals, family people. And I can tell you the last thing we would ever want to do is kick anyone out of the building and make their business hard. It is true, as a business, we need more space. And everybody knows that. And we're trying to work through people's needs and whatnot where they are at. But there's no way we were trying to kick anyone out. And the rumor mill is unreal. We offered to invest in the Pilates business to try to make it more palatable for her to pay a current rent. And we did come to a conclusion that I think she was happy about. And we've gone to everyone else and done a very human kind of approach for how we're working with people. I would expect people to return that favor in a human, caring, compassionate way. It feels bad. A lot of what you're talking about right now could have been solved with a conversation, a discussion, a phone call, a coffee, a human interaction. Forgive me, and I apologize. I do, but I have to tell you, it's a very frustrating situation.
Bob, I did approach Craig about the issue of the work trucks being parked on site and was summarily brushed off. So I would just disagree with your characterization of how I personally have approached this, just for the record.
Thank you, Amanda. My apologies.
All right. Well, thank you for that input. And Bob, you would not know about our limitations on the lease. We actually leased the facility from the
Yeah,
county.
we got all that now. Yeah, Bill, I understand. I do.
Yeah.
And as far as the renting of the thing, it's like that would have been enough for me. Knowing that, we wouldn't have done it again. Sure.
Yeah, exactly. So, and you know, I didn't know all the facts. We want to know the facts and make sure we're doing it in a consistent way, and we do it the same way for everybody.
Yeah.
And you go, but that means it's sitting empty a lot of times, and that's true. It is, but not because we may or may not want it that way, but we don't really have any choice in this particular.
Sure. I mean, I know there's a parking issue with regards to the town hall in general. We are okay and happy to have people park in our parking lot when there's overflow. And we always have been, and we always will be. People from the restaurants come and overflow and park in our parking lot. People even stay overnight in our parking lot, have nothing to do with the building. Employees park there and go off and work and come back. We're trying very hard to be friendly and community oriented.
And you'll find a couple things. Number one, if you haven't been here a lot, living sort of day to day, walking the streets, you probably wouldn't know, but parking is probably our biggest issue and has been for the last 2-3 years, maybe longer. Once upon a time, it was signage. If you put up a sign, you get the pitchfork and torch crowd coming to your door. They're all over it. Today it's parking. Okay. Parking, people get really excited, really worried about it. And you can see there's a major issue up on Main Street. And historically, it never was at Clifton House. So, you know, there's some concern there. So when you see people like, what's your deal, people? Why are you so excited about this? Well, that's one of those hot button issues. So not
as the owner of that parking lot, I'm happy to let people keep parking there.
Yeah, and the other thing is some commercial vehicles there. Okay, it's different than it has been before, and people are saying that's different. Is that okay? And my answer is I don't know. You know, somebody look at the code, which is what we have Amanda for. I kind of like commercial vehicles, but whether I like it or don't like it is here nor there. What matters is, what does the code say about this? And my recollection is you're not supposed to park commercial vehicles at your house. That's not good. I don't remember in commercial districts, and I don't remember about overnight parking, but somebody can look at it. But the point is, Bob, what's going on is different. And so Clifton's a place where anytime there's change, people get excited about it. We, we bought some land and made it into green space. We have people going, oh my gosh, what are you doing? It's like, it's green space. You should like it, but it's different. So you get a lot of questions. Okay. So parking's a hot button. Change, people always get excited about it. Don't take it personally. And you'll find people in this community, and you probably know this, are very emotional, very high energy, because they really care about the community, and that's really good. You just got to figure out a way to channel that. We all do, to channel that in a positive direction. We work very hard at that. So I'm happy to talk to you at any time about any of that, as well, as we go through that. So the hot button on the parking, the change, and the other thing, you talked about the rumor mill. Believe me, we've all been here a long time. Clifton's all about that. And so I like to try to be very transparent, get things out on the table. What are the facts? People might hate it once they know what the facts are, but at least they'll know what they are. And you want to have 9 different versions of this person's doing this. That's crap. I'm not a fan of that. Let's just talk about what's really going on and how to figure out how to get it done. Okay. So that's what we'll do here. And with the idea being that parking is a big deal right now for everybody. So you can expect more questions about that. I appreciate you getting on and talking about what your goals and visions are, that you want to be part of the community and you want to do good things. That's great. By the way, it's not clear that everybody feels that way. So the fact that you do is good and refreshing. We're happy to hear that. And let's figure out how to get that done in a spirit of cooperation and a spirit of respect. Okay, so let's move forward in that way. Okay?
You should be mayor.
There you go. Thank you.
So listen,
Thank you very
thank
much.
you for that, and I'll get out of your all's way so you can move forward. Amanda, I want to apologize again for saying that. I did not realize that you had talked with Craig. My apologies for the assumption. I'm sorry.
I just want to reiterate that Kathy and I are both here to help you and Sun Design navigate the application process. So if you have any questions about that, especially Kathy is very, very knowledgeable.
Sure. I might need a little help in that I'm still not 100% clear what I'm applying for, but
you're not alone. Like lots of people have questions about this, and these guys, they know it backwards and forwards. They want to make sure it's right. Kathy and Amanda, I'll just say, are sticklers, and that's from a town perspective. That's a good thing, especially a small town, to make sure everything's done right and everybody's treated equally under the rules. So that's all good, but maybe it's not always fun. But we'll get there. We're all available to talk to, but let's work together on this stuff. Sure, appreciate your getting on, and let's move forward.
Yeah. And the only thing I would say is I will email you. If I didn't, I think I did today, my phone number, Amanda, so that if there's further discussion or questions, we can go to the horse's mouth. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, and wheel it to me if that's okay, Bob. Wheel it to me as well in case I need to give you a call, or
okay,
you ever want to call me.
Absolutely. All right. So you had mentioned that everybody in Clifton's emotional, so I guess I'm in with a good crew then.
Right on.
Because I am too. And thanks for your patience.
Appreciate that, the fact that you care.
I do care. Thank you.
All right. Okay. I think everybody knows where we're at here, and Amanda, you'll continue to move forward. I want to get ultimately, not here, not now, and not tonight, but some information on what are we actually talking about from a parking perspective. Hypothetically, if there were 5 cars and 4 trucks, there'd be 9 vehicles. If there are no more than 5 moving vehicles with wheels at any time and people drive a car in and take a truck out or reverse, so be it. But let's just figure out what the facts are, and then we can go from there. You could certainly park vehicles. The question is what kind, how many, where. Let's get the facts, and go from there. Okay. Anybody else?
I'll follow up with Kathy and Helen at Sun Design about the future bookings that they have and get those off the books.
Okay, and Daryl, same for any other. I mean, the idea is
Yep.
Everything is treated the same. So
Of
anything
course,
else-
yeah. These are the only business rentals that we have, other than the previous ones that we know about that are standing. The
Yeah, okay.
Julia Ross and Irish Dancers. So
Right. Yeah. Okay. Very good. All right. Moving on. Architecture Review Board. Amanda, you good for now? We can talk more
Yep.
later. Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Architecture Review Board.
Architectural Review Board had 2 applications this month. Both were approved. One was for a fence at the Hess residence on Clifton Road. It'll be on the left side of the house as you're facing the front. You might notice the stakes in the yard at that location. That's what they're for. The other one was some work and an addition to the Peterson's, Tom and Jean Peterson property. So the back corner of their house, there'll be some renovations there and a second story put above the room that exists today as a 1-story.
Okay. And the ARB reviewed that and approved it.
Yes, Royce is actually the designer for that, so he obviously abstained, but it was approved by the rest of the board.
Okay. All right. Is that it?
That is all.
Okay. Next is streetscape. I understand Jerry and Susan are on. Might want to give us an update. Sound right? I see Jerry.
Yeah, they're on.
Okay.
Getting there.
Coming.
Sorry, just had to get you on video and unmuted. How's everybody doing?
Good.
I guess the first thing I just want to mention, and I don't know what the town council typically does, but I thought it was worth mentioning a tragic loss that occurred in town. An unbelievable young man, Joel Byrne, passed away on Saturday morning. And I just thought it would be worth mentioning here at the town council meeting. He's an amazing kid, and it's just a absolute tragic loss for this community.
I certainly agree and have been stunned about, something that's completely unimaginable. Certainly makes all of us put things into perspective about what's important and what's not, because we by nature as human beings complain all the time about this, that, and the next thing, and really there's no place for that. So the saying is count it all joy as things happen. Just take into account that it's part of life, and that we're here as a community. We're a community to help each other. I don't know what if anything any of us will be able to do when the time is right, but certainly if there's anything we can do, we will. I'm sure there's nothing at this point, but that we band together as a community in a time of tragedy and think about what's truly important. So thanks.
Yes. I completely agree. It's the end of the day, it's really about the people, and to lose somebody so young is it's just difficult. It's difficult for everybody who knew him, because he was such an amazing kid in so many ways. But anyway, prayers and thoughts certainly from everybody would be the first and foremost. But thank you. Want to mention that. So streetscape, trying to put this in perspective. So good news. We have received a proposal from our consultant J2 Engineers. We received it this past Friday. So thus we have not had the proper time to fully digest that. We did have a meeting today with VDOT to review that proposal, which was good, but there's, in general, this proposal is very comprehensive. So it's picking the ball up where we are today, but it's also taken us through construction, not just utility, but actual streetscape construction. So it's comprehensive in that manner, just in terms of bringing on consultants for those various tasks that will need to occur. So before I present that to the council, I want to make sure we spend our time to go through it, to go backwards in terms of the previous proposal, what is credited out of there, what's new, what's additional, what needs to happen, why, and be sure that everything is where it should be. Certainly be happy to answer any questions in regards to that. I do have an ask tonight, but I want to at least stop there and just, if anybody has questions, we can certainly answer those.
Yeah, Jerry, just a short form, seat of the pants question. You know that we did the budgeting or the moving money around in the bank. We made a proposal this evening.
Correct.
Are we crazy? I just want to know whether you think we've put enough money there that we can use within a 6 month or a 9 month or a 14-month time frame, whether you think we're making a reasonable judgment as to where that money goes and how fast we need to spend it.
Yeah, no, I think so. I did listen to that very acutely just to get a feel, but I think you're probably okay. I mean, it's certainly something we can try to take a look at here. Obviously, as we, prepare this proposal to present to you, then I think we'll have a little bit better idea. It's certainly utilities are going to happen this year. Whether we actually begin the construction of the actual, streetscape component of it yet this year, I would be surprised. It certainly wouldn't be until the end of the year, but utility certainly is the forefront. And the biggest thing is that we have to front that money, right? We gotta pay the consultants, submit that reimbursement to VDOT, and then we get reimbursed through the funding for that. So it's much as a cash flow issue as it is just completely out of pocket. So I think you guys are okay, especially the way you started to set that up from splitting up the CDs so that, okay, if we needed another 60 grand, then you could at least, just tap one of those CDs versus the entire amount, which I think is just, financially smart anyway. So it gives the town flexibility for whatever situation may come up. But so if no other questions or, feel free to ask as I keep going here. So one of the items, as the design of the streetscape was being done, and we had approvals through VDOT back in 2019, is the stormwater drainage system in town that goes, basically there is, the best we understand, there's two parallel pipes. There's the inlets, which I think we all know because over years our tires have dipped into them right around Chapel Road and Chapel Street. Those continue down, and we believe they're on both sides of the road. The side on the Peterson ice cream side then traverses across the street into a pipe in front of Lagio, and then continues, which then goes underneath the railroad tracks and then gets to the creek. Back in 2019, when the design was done, they did scoping of those existing pipes to understand what was there, what was existing. The side, on the Bellagio side, they were able to fully scope that and understand what they had. On the other side, the pipe, there was a collapse in the stormwater pipe, pretty much right at Chapel Street for the most part. And what J2 had done at the time was they just kind of did a workaround, not knowing fully what was further down the pipeline. And so they did a new crossing pretty much at Chapel Street then to connect back over to Bellagio. And I'm trying to explain all this because it's getting us to a point here where I'm going to have an ask. And so given where we are and discussing everything with VDOT, one of the things they are asking for is for that to be really reevaluated. And obviously to do that, the pipe needs to be fixed. It is on VDOT's schedule to fix that stormwater pipe because it's in there right away, and that's something they should be doing. Quite frankly, they are aware of it. It's been out there a while. You know, it's kind of like why hasn't it been done to date, but it hasn't. So their plan is to repair it in the spring, but for us to move forward in any kind of timely manner to wait till April to have this repaired and then scope it and do design work and so forth is obviously a lot of time passing. That's just going to further delay the project. So what has been discussed with VDOT and J2 engineers was VDOT would come out, their maintenance group would come out, open up the road at the collapsed area and do what's necessary to allow scoping to occur so they can send a camera down the remainder of the pipe so they can fully evaluate what is existing and what's the existing conditions in terms of piping sizes and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Thus, if we have that information and a report would be provided at the end of that work, then that could be provided to VDOT as well as J2 engineers. So then J2 engineers could then begin their design work to utilize that pipe, and whatever increases is being created or whatever changes are being made to the to basically different inlets for stormwater and so forth, then that can be done in a way that satisfies VDOT requirements. VDOT would then patch that road temporarily until they come back in the spring to repair whatever would need to be repaired. So in an effort to not lose timing, either me being able to come back to the town council in a month to present the proposal, or if we decide to do that at a sooner date with a special meeting, but at the very least, the contract to do that scoping work is $3,300 with Mueller Incorporated. Our discussions today was to suggest that I asked the town council this evening to approve up to that amount. Obviously, at this point, we have not expended all the funds for J2 engineers for this project. So it could be considered, you know, a part of that, or however you would like to do it. Obviously, it's not a large number here, but what it would do would enable them to get moving forward on a critical path item. And obviously, you know, it's going to be needed to be done regardless of, you know, where things go as we move down the road here. But so that would be the ask. I do have a bit of a question on this that I want to pose to VDOT. Basically asking, is this completely the town's responsibility for this cost, or should VDOT share some of this? We're kind of doing them a bit of a favor because we're scoping a pipe that they should be repairing and should have been in good service. And then the work that in money that was spent back in 2018 or 19 or whatever was done when we had that pipe scoped and then it was blocked. We obviously were expending funds to do that and could not go further because the pipe was in disrepair. So I would put it on my shoulders to fight that battle to see if some of this is, can be shared through VDOT. But it's just a question I had after our meeting and didn't think to bring it up, but it's something I will certainly do.
In any event, would the money be 80/20 reimbursable?
That's correct.
And your question is whether it'd be 100% reimbursable instead of 80%?
No. Well, yes. Meaning it shouldn't be. It's almost like this isn't part of our project. This is, and what part of this is this VDOT maintenance? And if this pipe was fixed and in repair, we wouldn't have had to now come back and, spend additional funds to rescope this when we've scoped it once. So we're taking, obviously we're creating the situation that we're having to go back in for new approvals with the utilities, but still it's like, why has this been repaired?
But even if they say no,
it would still be 80/20.
Still 80/20. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. It's part of the problem.
Anybody else? Questions?
So we need to go through the small purchase process. We've done it a couple times previously for things that we've added to the design contract. And maybe Amanda's in the best place to answer that. We went through the small purchase process.
As Jerry said, we still have funding for the existing contract with J2, so I don't know that we would need to do a new addendum.
What's going to end up happening is that current agreement we have with J2 will be amended, in a big picture sense. So, and that's back to the point of, okay, what have we not expended that needs to be credited back to, what we are doing. So, from a paperwork standpoint, that all needs to be settled through, and I got to be able to present that to you guys in a proper manner. So that's one of the items that, we still need to do. And obviously it hasn't happened since Friday. So.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. So as long as VDOT recognizes it as a project cost and is willing to go 80/20 at worst, and the 20, I'm sure that we've already got covered in kind labor. So
yeah.
No question about that.
Yeah.
And Jerry, did you say that this was that this amount of money was going to the same engineering firm, or was it a different name that you mentioned?
So this is a consultant of J2 engineers that they brought on to do this work. They don't do this work themselves. So whenever they do the scoping work with the TV camera, they hire a sub-consultant. So it's their sub-consultant.
But we would be paying J2 engineers.
That's correct.
Yes.
That's correct. Yeah.
We've already approved spending up to X amount with J2. This doesn't fall under what's already been approved.
Different scope. There's money remaining on the contract, but it's different scope.
Okay.
But it can easily be absorbed. And then there's going to be a reset when we see this revised contract to go forward.
I guess I'm not opposed to approving it, but I'm confused as to why we have to approve new spending if there's still money left on the J2 contract. But whatever.
Well, that particular work item was not included in the scope of the contract, so it needs to be discussed and approved.
New scope. All right. So
Okay,
to get the ball rolling, I'll make a motion to approve the expenditure of an additional up to $3,300 for the scoping work as discussed.
Second.
The scoping work that was out of scope. That's the new scope.
Yes.
Something like that.
Sounds
now
good.
that that's there, now that we have the proposal and it's seconded, does anybody have any discussion, questions, concerns, opposition?
I don't have any meaningful
input. If not, let's do it. If so, let's hear what the concerns are.
Aye.
Good. Okay. Money, we'll do roll call. So we're gonna do roll call vote. Holloway, aye.
McDonald, aye.
F. Ross, aye.
Oh, aye.
On aye.
And screen aye.
Okay, is that it for now and you'll report back?
Yeah, and I'll reach out to you, Bill, if I feel like, hey, we need to jump on this in 2 weeks or something. But let me just dig into this a little harder. I mean, it may just take some
Okay.
time for us to completely get through it, but I'll just let you know. I'll communicate with you.
Okay, sounds good. Moving on, we had a Bluebird thing, but that's gone. The Bluebirds have left, Amanda.
Yeah, until next month.
That's all right. They'll be back. So that takes us up to unfinished business. It's 9 o'clock. Let's move. The Tree and Air Square, last time we talked, Manassas Man was coming and the park committee people wanted to have their say and all that. Anybody have any more to add this month?
I should have, I do not have a proposal from Mark Olson, but I will have one. I will have one by the time we meet next. I just communicated with him earlier this week.
No worries. We can talk about the tree. Look, that's one of the reasons
we did it early. That's why we started this conversation early.
So that we'd have time. Okay, next. Holiday Homes Tour. Last time we talked about the charities. What if it's the, I don't know, the Klan or something? That would be bad, very bad. And should we put some, ring fencing around what it is? Should we pick who it is each year? Whatever. And the sense was, let's ask the committee and see what they think and take that into account as we further consider this issue. So do we have input, Lynn, do we have input from the committee?
Yeah, the only input that I had from the committee of one was, that it's a benefit for those who open up their homes to be able to donate to a charity, to be able to pick it. And the committee was also open to our perspectives and wanting to point the funds to a town charity. So I think there was some flexibility there.
Yeah, I mean, look, I view this a different way, which is, I don't know, it's like magazine subscriptions or something. It's not every magazine in the world. It's the one on the list where you pull out the little stamp looking things and put them on there. And you're like, where's X magazine? Oh, they don't have it, but they do have these. So maybe there's a list of things where we can go, stuff like this is awesome. Pick any one you want. World's your oyster. But it's not literally everything on earth. And that way we know we have stuff that isn't going to cause people concerns versus the town says it shall be X, which takes away a sense from the property owners that they have a say in it. That does not please me as much. It does not, I don't get the same satisfaction as giving the homeowners choice, but the choice is within bounds, which is generally the way life works anyway.
Didn't Amanda mention like a federal pre-approved list or something? There's already a list that exists somewhere of like federally approved charities, or
my recollection is someone has gone through this exercise before and said, here's the kind of charities that if you give to these, everything's cool. If you give to a 501c3 outside of these, not cool.
Right.
And then there's some magic list. I don't know.
Okay. I'm on board with an approach like that gives the participants some choice.
Choice within rational bounds.
Yep.
Okay. All right. We'll continue to look into that. If we can find the magic list of hundreds and hundreds of things, but they're all safe, that's good. Okay. I see Amanda's not nodding her head. So actually struggling to maintain her head in a completely motionless state, so it doesn't indicate she's agreeing.
Maybe it's the town hall's internet. I don't know.
Yeah, could be. All right, moving on. Pink House, Barker Helmer, lease ran out end of I don't know. End of December. So they're a month and a week into no man's land. And they'd like to extend the lease They don't have any right to extend, by the way. Just they're asking to extend for another year through the end of December and keeping the rent at the same low rate of $1,300 per month. Okay. And they gave me a little lease addendum that Jeff Stein put together, which looks identical to the last lease addendum and just changes the year. Okay. They want okay. Well, they kind of snuck one in on me. They asked for a year, but now they want 2 years without the rate going up. I feel a little different about that, to tell you the truth. The request I was told was a year, but the actual document is 2 years. So a 2-year extension, which is okay, doing a nice job there. But keeping the rate at the same one it's been for the last 4 years or so. That's the proposal.
They must not be
Response?
experiencing inflation the way we are.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Inflation's up and down. Thoughts from anyone?
I'm comfortable with 12 months.
Okay. Yeah, so 12 months at the current rate, I thought that was the proposal and I thought that was a no-brainer. But now we have 24 months keeping it at the old rate. And we've never done that before. It's always gone up $100
Yeah.
a year.
By the end of that, it'll have been 6 years at the same rate.
Something
Right.
like that. I think it may be
5 or 6 years.
4 or 5.
Yeah.
I don't know. And so the question is, should we propose, if they want 2 years, it's another $100 for both or $100 for the second, I don't know. Or if they want the same rate, it's 1 year.
Yeah.
It's not, we're not moving mountains here, but I just want to
Sure.
know to be able to say.
Offer them either.
Either. Okay, 1 year same or 2 years. 2 years for the plus $100.
Yep.
Okay.
Wait, it'd be 1,400. It's 1,400 a month for the full 2 years.
I don't know. You want to make it just the second year?
I just don't understand. If I were in their shoes, I wouldn't see the benefit of committing to a longer term at a higher rate.
Well, there's benefit. You have
There's benefit if they want to keep the property and not have to hassle with it in the second year. If they don't,
Right,
leave it for 1 year the way we've given it to everybody else.
Yeah. I support 1 year at the same rate, and we can look at this again at the end of the year.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
I mean, I don't oppose to it. I'm not opposed to $1,400 for 2 years. I just don't, given what they asked for, I don't think they'll go for it.
Okay. So I'll make a motion for the council to approve the extension of the lease for 1 year at the same rate.
Does that
Okay.
end? Second.
Yeah, that's it. And then I'll take it to them. And if they go, no, we really want 1 year or 2 years. And I can expand the thing to say, or 2 years at 1,400.
I'll second that same motion. Yeah.
All right.
Like I said, I don't oppose it. I just don't, I wouldn't, yeah. Proceed.
Okay. Very good. That's my motion. Motion a second.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? Let's do roll call. Holloway, aye.
Frost, aye.
Poe, aye.
Line aye.
Screen eye.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Next, Clifton Scout Troop 1104 request for annual lock-in event, March 25, 26 at the town hall. The Scout Troop 1104 is the Clifton troop. They did this every year, year in, year out, without fail. And then the pandemic hit and they didn't do it. Now they're back, which is good. want 1104 to be back, the scout troop, and they've done many good things for the town over the years and continue to do so. So Lucas is on. Let's hear about the event and the request. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Lucas Martin, and I'm the Assistant Senior Patrol Leader of Troop 1104. Every year prior to the pandemic, we hosted a lock-in where we would welcome our new scouts to the troop and participate in a lot of activities that day. I request your approval to host the lock-in at the town hall again this year on March 25th. We will use it from Saturday morning and leave early Sunday morning after cleaning it. Thank you.
Motion to approve the request as stated.
I'll second that. Any further discussion?
I did have just a question for Lucas. Lucas, in the past when you had a lock-in, were there any challenges that you all had when you were at the town hall? How did the events go over?
Everything went fine. There was no problems or issues. We made the town hall look better than new after we left, so I really don't see.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, better than new.
I believe they even raked the leaves one year outside. So looking forward to see that this year.
Okay, we had a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions. Motion carries. Good luck with the lock-in event, Lucas.
Thank you.
Oh, parking is pick up and drop off only. You can't park your car there, Lucas.
All
right. Lucas, was there also a request for the town to waive the fee for renting the town hall? I think that y'all have done that in the past.
I'm going to have to move that question to my person in charge, Mr. Lawrence.
You can move it to me. It was implied in Daryl's. It was implied in Daryl's motion.
Yes.
In the past, I've forgotten. Every year we did this in the past. We had this big thing about all the stuff that 1104 has done for the town. And in light of what 1104 has done for the town, we have waived the fee because it's a community group that has contributed so much to the community that it far more than offsets what the rental fee would be. So thanks for pointing that out, because we are waiving the fee, or the plan is to waive the fee. And we're not doing it because we love the scouts. We're doing it because the scouts are from the community and do tremendous amount of volunteer work for the community. And anybody else who wants to do a lot of volunteer work for the community and wants to use the hall at some point, we would treat the same way. So everybody gets treated the same. There's a specific reason. And yes, we would waive this. It's educational, it's community, etc. That's part of Daryl's motion and was from the beginning, and was a quietly, silently implied part of mine. And we can certainly we'll vote again just to make sure everybody knows, because it was clear to me, but it may not have been clear to everybody. So
I'll make a motion to waive the rental fee for the scouts
and
for their lock-in party.
I'll second it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention. Okay, very nice. All right, good. Next, Lions Club, Clifton Lions Club, who's trying to do more stuff in Clifton, trying to have closer interaction with Clifton, closer community ties with Clifton, has been looking for things to do in Clifton, and has come upon this drug take-back event, which they ran with DEA and collected 800 pounds of drugs, or it was a lot. I don't remember exactly, but it was a lot. It was honestly a shocking amount. Very successful. So they're going to do it again. They're going to do it at the Presbyterian Church. It amounts to some people sitting at a table, and people drive up and get out and go, here are my pills or something. And the Drug Enforcement Agency does something, whatever they do with it. Very successful, very good. Got a lot of very good feedback. And the Clifton Lions Club are coming to us and asking for approval to run an event. More good marks for doing that. So they've asked for authorization to hold this event on April 22nd. And they'd also like to put a banner up over Main Street. And last time they asked, and we had to say no because Clifton Day, or we had some banner. It was on a trail. I don't remember. I'm not aware of any other banners in the mid-April timeframe. So that's fine. So,
If they are, they haven't requested yet, which means.
True. Yes, they're late. So I'll make a motion to approve the request of the Clifton Lions Club for the DEA drug take back event on April 22nd at Clifton Presbyterian Church, and for the Lions Club to put up a banner for the event starting approximately April 7th.
Second.
Okay.
Steve can have it.
Yeah, give Steve the second on that. Motion second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, great. Okay, next. Request for the town to sponsor and request Virginia DEQ to issue a grant for the Resource Recovery Project in Clifton that would provide recycling service to residents. Okay. Ed Ehlers is the one who runs the Resource Recovery Project. We can turn over to Ed to talk about what he's proposing, and then we'll have some further discussion.
Hi, good evening, everybody. It's nice to see some familiar faces. For those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Ed Ehlers. I've been a resident of Clifton for 12 years. We live just south of town. I don't live in the town itself. I'm a mile south on Mill Glen Court. About a year, 18 months ago, almost 2 years now, we started a pilot program called the Resource Recovery Project. We have collected over 30,000 pounds of materials from, we're at about 40 households at this point. And we would like the town to consider sponsoring or submitting for a DEQ grant. I've put all this in the read ahead. So if I can share more information with you, or if you want, or if you read the package that I sent ahead, we can move forward with any questions you might have.
We want to start with, does anyone have questions about what's being proposed, what we would do, what our role, how it would work?
I think a high level summary would be helpful for anyone else watching the meeting.
Very good. So currently, Clifton receives a non-competitive grant from the Department of Environmental Quality of Virginia. This non-competitive grant is currently being used for litter collection, expanded polystyrene communication, and that is not the grant we're speaking of. The grant that we are speaking of is would be in addition to this. It would not affect that non-competitive grant whatsoever. This would be as I mentioned, a competitive grant that would be two primary purposes. One is to the actual collection of resources, and two, the education and changing the mindset surrounding trash, garbage, waste, and how we are referring to it. We started this program, the Resource Recovery Project, specifically because the recycling system is broken in this country. There's no doubt about that. And one of the reasons it's broken is because it is so unbelievably complicated and not well communicated in a lot of areas. So our focus is a very simplified, clean and dry, and it fits in the bag the receptacle that we provide. If it is not liquid, food, organic, or used medical supplies, we will take it. We triage it, find the highest and best use for the resources, which may include repurposing, reusing, rehoming, and finally recycling. So this grant would, the town would receive grant funds from DEQ to help offset the cost to provide this program to town of Clifton residents. It would also be used for any education or community events that the town might want to have resource recovery participate in.
So pause for a second there. If I understand correctly, this means this grant would pay for every household in Clifton to have one of your receptacles, or help offset that cost?
Help offset the cost, and it would only be for the ones that are willing to participate.
What is the cost?
Depending on if it's weekly, monthly, or bi-monthly. So weekly service is $52 a month. It's $12 a pickup. Bi-monthly is $15 a pickup, and monthly is $20 a pickup. We would look to offset some of that cost. And the proposal for the grant is not due. Well, they haven't even opened up the application period yet. It won't open until April. This is a preemptory approval that the town is interested in proceeding and working with us to write that grant so it meets the town's needs. It can be arranged. I don't think it's a great idea to recommend paying for every resident in the town, because this requires a little bit more effort than just throwing something in a trash can. Clean and dry. We want folks that want to participate. We want folks that are willing to change their mindset and that are willing to actually be part of a greater solution. So that's probably too much detail right now at this level of request. This request is we want to move forward with a supporting a proposal. That's what we're asking for.
Right. So as I understand it, the town would request money from DEQ. DEQ would give the town money. Then anyone in the town who wants to participate in the resource recovery program, anyone who wants to participate could have their costs partially offset by funds from the town, so they could participate in the program, but it would be less expensive to them. And we would do it so that we would encourage people to participate in a program like this because of its importance and sustainability, etc. Is that correct?
That is a good summary.
All right, everybody get that?
And the town would help craft the grant proposal, or we would just co-sign?
I think
the level that you want to help craft it. If
it would go like this, Ed would craft it, and Reagan, unless he says otherwise, would look at it and go, yeah, I think that makes sense, since Reagan's been doing these things for years. And I want to make sure, look, we're requesting money for us from the state for our citizens. So we want to make sure whatever we say, we feel comfortable about. Reagan certainly knows how to do that and has done it in the past. And I want to make sure whatever we do is consistent with what we've told DEQ in the past, doesn't interfere with anything else we have. So I think that's in practice how it would roll. Reagan, what do you think?
Yeah, the only thing I would add to that, Bill, is that at the end of the grant year, there was a report required to evidence out how we use the funds. So that's probably the closing the loop from DEQ's end.
And so Ed would be providing input for that, and you'd need to bless it and make sure it looks kosher, because ultimately it's our responsibility to make sure it's right. Okay.
Correct. And this all happens through
Beside-
the DEQ portal. So it's an online process that only the town can log into. So it's controlled in that manner.
I would rather it was done on something like polystyrene plastic and submitted in triplicate, but what can you do with an online
aside
submittal?
from us agreeing that this is a good idea and we should move forward, does the town council have to do anything right now?
No, I think we need to approve it because we, the town, would be submitting.
We haven't gotten the document yet to approve.
Tell me about timing, guys. I'm assuming you'd be off.
I think the portal opens up in April, but the deadline is not until the 15th of July. So we've got quite a bit of time.
So you would come back with a thingy and say, here it is.
Yeah.
Yes. So
I agree with you, Steve. If that's the case, the sense of the council, this is an unusual proposal. Okay, this is not something we get asked all the time. And it's very important that we as a town understand what we're doing, okay? That we understand our good name is going on the line to procure money, some of which will ultimately go to Ed, but it will be used to help citizens, okay, do something that we as a council believe is highly valuable and important. That's the concept. And that everybody understands what we're doing, and everybody goes, yeah, I think that's unusual. But I think that's great. And isn't it nice that the Commonwealth provides funds for this? And if they do, we ought to be pursuing it. This is a good thing. Okay.
Yeah, I can certainly speak to supporting moving forward. I think for a few reasons. Number one, in our town plan back in 2009, that's going to be updated very soon. Making moves to protect the environment, and really preserve the space that we live in, is front and center in that plan. And I can speak to my own personal experience with resource recovery, that it does change behavior, and I think that's one of the most dramatic impacts of Ed's plan, of Ed's process here, is that it changes individual behavior to be on a daily basis more focused on the different waste that we produce. So I think that that piece I can definitely give a testimony to. The third piece is that I've witnessed Ed over many years being around town, being committed to collecting these resources and the education. And so his commitment to the town, I think has been absolutely incredible in this space.
Hear, hear.
I think anything that we can do to maybe help others see how we each play a role in this. Ed can only do so much himself, but whether we support this concept or just support in terms of just opening the community in a bigger way to this type of resource recovery is certainly a positive move for so many reasons.
Thank you. Okay, so the council is supportive, and Ed and Reagan will work on this and bring it back for us to bless whatever it is, so we know what we're approving. Okay. All right. Thank you. Good.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you.
Good. All right. Final item: VDOT 2022 Title 6 review of the town of Clifton plan to resolve findings. I'll give you the background on this. Title 6 is something that relates to discrimination, racial, whatever discrimination, with regard to use of federal funds. So for Fairfax County, they take federal transportation funds. Fairfax County gets funds that they use to run the bus thing. So they have a big plan in case people think they've been discriminated against in bus service provision, which you could go, they're not coming to my neighborhood because they're discriminating, and I want to do something, or there aren't enough buses, or the buses are dirty, or whatever. Okay, so VDOT said every town that takes money from VDOT, where that money comes from the feds, now has to comply with this. Okay, fair enough. But also has to have a plan for how they're complying with it, and theoretically draft template contracts for everything, which, you know, that part I don't think makes sense. But have this plan. Fairfax County's plan is 170 pages long. Steve, you get the idea on this, right? And it's so that when we implement things for which we take federal transportation money, which is known as streetscape, we aren't doing racial discrimination.
And we're prepared to accept or receive complaints.
Yeah,
Whatever.
people say that the streetscape is discriminating against them or something.
There have got to be boilerplate documents that have been used by dozens of different towns. Can we just take one and put our name on it?
So we'll get right to that. What I've found is that VDOT's hitting everybody in the state with this because nobody had these. And so every small town is going, I don't have one of these. Where do I get it? And the only places that do are these mega places with 1 million people, which have something that's way too long.
Which law firm is the first mover on drafting these then?
Yeah, I know. So that's, if you go 2 years down the line, Steve's exactly right. There'll be like a VML template. Right now, there isn't. So here we are. VDOT did a review. They gave us these findings, and they told us we have to resolve all the findings by March the 10th. I don't know where they came up with the date. They did. 4 findings.
What happens if we don't?
Probably
what happens if we go back to VDOT and ask them for a document that shows us how we would do this?
I think they're
Steve, they have. Yeah. I think that they've reached out and identified, had asked us to identify somebody for Title VI, and given me a huge packet and is offering this large training. So, you know, I think that the spirit behind this is they've been very helpful in order to do it. The problem is that there's not a plan out there that we can just adopt easily. Yeah. And I think we also don't necessarily want to. The different findings that they cited, I think we want to figure out how we include public involvement, because we're such a small town. We don't want to have to translate every document that we have into a variety of different languages or have an interpreter at all of our meetings, but we can come up with our own solutions, such as making sure that we write on all of our documents. If you need accommodations, then contact us within a certain number of dates, and we'll make reasonable efforts to make those accommodations.
Excuse me, Bill, I have a simple question, and then I'm going to have to cut off of here. But in virtually every federal rule, and I think most state rules, there is an exception based on the size of the community that has to comply. Mm-hmm. Are there size restrictions? I mean, we would certainly be under virtually any size restriction that the state of Virginia has.
All right, so I'll say this. Lynn, can you go back and see if there's a size restriction / exemption for some or any of this? Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
And I note that, as Steve correctly states, example, competitive procurement, we're not subject to that.
Yeah.
Audit requirements, we're not subject to that. And it's towns, and it's by state law. Towns lower than, with less than X, don't have to do these things. And the reason is it would be too onerous for towns to do that. So the state has recognized that. They may have here as well. So check that out. Now I'm going to switch gears. So that's on your to-do list. We got 4 findings. Okay. We didn't get 14 or 400 or 2. We got 4. I'm going to go through them real quick. Okay. Number 1 is you don't have a plan. We'll come back to that. Number 2 is, how can people who don't speak English possibly deal with your stuff? Okay. And as Lynn said, the answer to that is, if somebody approaches us, we'll address it if and when they do. And I think our agenda actually has a thing that says if somebody needs whatever.
It
Yeah.
used to.
Yeah, maybe it used to, right? So we can add that. I think I did it to shorten it up, but we could add that back. You need an interpreter, let us know. Okay, good and fair. No worries. Next, you should have a template for all your contracting. Well, we don't do enough contracting to have templates, number one. Number two, this is for stuff for transportation, okay? Streetscape. So when we get Juan to do caulking at the Pink House, we're not going to do this, okay? This is for stuff we take federal funding for. Streetscape, okay? Lynn's idea is we have an addendum because what happens is J2 Engineers gives us a contract. We don't have Fairfax County would have a million contracts. We don't. J2 gives us a contract. Part of our response to them is you got to staple these things to the back. You must comply with Title VI, racial discrimination, whatever, standard contracting. I see it all the time. If you do contracts in New York or California, they got all this stuff they add on. That's their thing. Fine. Okay. As opposed to us developing 20 new template hypothetical contracts. That's crazy. Next, a complaint procedure. Okay. Title VI complaint procedure. So Lynn and others had said, oh, we should have a procedure for all complaints. And I was like, grass mowing or no. We have a way we deal with complaints. We talked about complaints today, literally. Amanda was dealing with it, and that works just fine for our little town. But this is for Title VI. That means complaints filed essentially related to discrimination for streetscape, okay? We'll probably have to have some form for that. And Fairfax County has a form. We'll have to have a form. If anybody has some discrimination complaint about streetscape, use this form. Okay, straightforward. So that's 3 out of 4. 3 out of 4, making good progress. That brings us back to Steve's number 1, have a 170-page plan. And you go, that's crazy. We don't need a 170-page plan. There's got to be better. And in a year, there will be a template plan. There isn't. VDOT would probably love if the town of Clifton became the first one to create a new template. But man, we don't want to do that.
No, Bill, wait a minute.
Yeah, go.
Wait a minute. And again, I'm sorry, but I am going to have to leave because I have to take care of Lucia. But
go.
We do not provide transportation. You keep saying that streetscape is under this provision, but streetscape is redesigning a road that we don't control. It's VDOT that controls it. So it's their own plan that they would have to have a rule for. We do not supply any other contracting for transportation. So I don't think this whole thing applies to us. I mean, if we had a bus system or if we had cabs or that would be
we don't even have paid parking.
We do not control the roads.
Yeah.
So streetscape, while we are involved in putting money into it, is not in our control. It is in the state's control. And therefore, what are these rules for? We don't supply any other transportation.
Yeah. So good point, fair point. Don't know the answer. I certainly agree conceptually. Wondered if, I know you got to go, wondered if Lynn might be able to reach out to you at some point in the future and say, Steve, have a look at what they're sending. Because it kind of goes like this. VDOT said, we're sending you money. Anybody who gets money has to do this. That's our rule. But that may not be right. Okay. And let's hope it's not. So maybe Lynn can reach out to you on that. In the meantime, Lynn, you'll be seeing what you can do on this template, because the 170 pages for us does not sound right. There must be a way to deal with this.
There were just 2 requests. We're dealing with, if everything, checks out clear and we do need to move forward with this process. There are 2 things I wanted to mention prior to next meeting is that we might need to pre-approve budget to be able to spend on interpreters if somebody asks for accommodations. So we might need to just in advance approve that during the next meeting. And then also we should have some documents that that we'll need to all to approve during the next meeting. So we would need to put those out about a week in advance. So we just wanted to make sure that that's on everyone's radar.
Okay, heads up for everybody and we can discuss it further. You know, we certainly have the same issue here because I think we have obligations for blind or people who can't hear or something if they need help. That I think as a government we're obligated to do it. We haven't had requests. If we did, we would take care of it. It would certainly cost money, and we have the same kind of thing. So. Okay, that's all we've got. More for next month, but that's all we have for this agenda.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion a second. Any further discussion?
We can't discuss this one, right?
Oh, that's right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, thanks everyone. That was a lot that we went through.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, thank